Hey there folks, welcome to this video. This one here's a general notice where I start off the week by talking about my plans for the week ahead, look a bit further back, talk about something that's on my mind. You can find this week's one timestamped in the description below. And let's start off by talking about the week ahead. F1 is back, got Extreme E, I'm going to the British Touring Cars. And that's really it. Let's see if I can talk about a couple of little bits and pieces over the course of the week, but given that I've got a Masters deadline that's coming up at the start of next month, as well as a couple other little bits and pieces, I'm not going to be around so much, so expect me to just do the kind of content that I've been doing the past couple of weeks, ideally with more thumbnails and more attention paid to it, especially with things like timing. I know I'm saying this, uploading this video around midnight, but yeah, I don't like doing that. Might stream the F1 race I'm doing on Saturday. Didn't do this weekend's one at Spain because of other commitments. And the rally, which hopefully I'll be able to do at some point Sunday, which is Greece. No, not Greece, that's what we've just done. New Zealand in Historic 2 rear-wheel drive, so Mark 2 most likely for me. I want to have some fun to end the season. I might get a win in Poland, but at the end of the day, if I get a solid championship finish, despite not winning an event and only having picked up, at this point, 2 stage wins, if I manage to get third in a season like that, I'll count myself pretty lucky. Yeah, looking back, over the past week, I've really had a lull, which I need to get back into. I'm back at the point that I was at, I think about 2 years ago now. Like these are levels in terms of like viewership and stuff that I haven't seen, where it's like I might drop below double digits since 2019. But at the same time, I'm getting a nice turnout on some of the videos and the engagement seems pretty cool as well. And if you're watching this, you're probably one of the regulars. A lot of the regulars are sticking around and that's brilliant. I love that I've got a community like that. And I'm starting to get back to replying to your comments. At the very least, if I can, I'm reacting to them. And sorry I haven't been around for the past while. I'm trying to step up with that. If you want to be kind of like more contact with me, Discord's probably the best way to do it. You can also reach out to me on other social media. I try to reply where I see I've got a message. But yeah, let's talk about what's on my mind. And it's Le Mans. Because for those of you who might be aware, it happened last weekend. On the last lap, gotta feel sorry for them. Team WRT, the 41 of Louis Latraz, Robert Kubica and Yafei broke down right at the end when they were going to win the P2 class. You could argue that they locked into it a bit. I mean, what was it? The Jota 30... Was it 38? Yes. Went off with, I think, Ant Davidson behind the wheel. The two United cars came together, much to their own annoyance. The G-Drive 26 had an off as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, WRT still got the win with their 31 car by Freins and von Habsburg and Milesi. But yeah, what could have been? And I had a bit of a debate about this, as you do. Because Le Mans has had these kinds of things happen before. I mean, quite notably, there was 2016 where Porsche ran out of fuel on the last lap. I think it was they ran out of fuel. I never actually remember what it was that happened. But they broke down as they crossed the line for the start of the final lap. They weren't classified. Because in Le Mans, to be classified, you have to cross the line. And now you can get where I'm going. I'm coming and talk. Because Le Mans the only race in WEC that has that. And the rest of the WEC, it's 70% is classification. Le Mans is the one that bucks the trend. It's the one that doesn't abide by those rules. The kind of exceptionalism you typically see for Monaco. Another French-speaking country, but in the FIA, yeah, that's the only other place where I can think of where you've seen that kind of exceptionalism before. In, what, the FIA. Because like I said, the rest of WEC, they'd be classified. They'd probably be not necessarily classified as winning their class, but they'd be classified in the top 3. And in comparison, they're not, which could hamper any kind of championship bid they're putting together. And I know some people will be like, well, that's the thing of Le Mans, you have to be running at the end of the 24, but if it's part of a championship, I believe it should abide by those championship rules, you know? If it's part of the World Endurance Championship, it should abide by the rules of the WEC. So if that is 70% is classified, 70% is classified. Doesn't matter if they don't take the flag. And I'm not going to go back and say, let's retcon all these other previous rules, because what's done is done, and there's no point trying to have a fight about the race that happened 5 years ago to get it overturned or whatever. In fact, typically when these kinds of things happen, like in this circumstance, I'm like, well, it's annoying that it's happened there, but let's try and patch it for future incidents. And to be able to counteract that, or provide more clarification, I'll talk about these Monegasque examples. The first one is the Monte Carlo Rally. The WRC brought in a rule in 2004 that was originally called Super Rally. It was then called Rally 2. It's now just the restart rule. Typically, it's got all kinds of other things. Super Rally is still often used. Rally 2 isn't, but that's just because Rally 2 is now the name of the support ladder, with the top of it being Rally 1. Monte Carlo didn't have this rule until 2015. Which meant that in Monte Carlo, if you stopped, you were out. And then when they brought in the rule, they still kept another rule, which was the legacy of the rally, because originally, when they stayed overnight in the Principality, they didn't have enough space for the cars. So they would disqualify anyone outside the top 60 at the start of the final day. I can't tell you when that rule ended. I'm pretty sure it only ended in the last couple of years, though. Because no, it didn't happen this year. Because 62 people started the final day. But there used to be a rule where they disqualify people for being so low down the order. So when the restart rule came in, you were probably still likely to not finish. Which I think's a bit unfair, you know? But those rules have changed. I mean, F1 Monaco starts the same kind of thing where it doesn't actually run for 300 kilometers. It's also slightly shorter than what's required for most Grade 1 circuits and doesn't meet a lot of the trends and gets lots of exceptionalism because it's Monaco. Well, some other tracks do follow a similar kind of trend. Spa is like right at the upper bounds of what an F1 track can be. Or a Grade 1 certified track can be. And the Bahrain inner circuit, for whatever reason, even though it's, I think, even shorter than Monaco, has Grade 1 accreditation. Because typically it's graded by facilities. But I think that those kinds of things need to stop. I think that when a rule exists, it needs to exist for everything, and there shouldn't be something that bucks a trend. And even if someone goes, oh, that ruins the tradition of Le Mans, well, Le Mans could be its own standalone event. It won't be successful, but it could be its own standalone event. If that's how the ACO want to play it. But because of the idea of time on tradition and all that, they don't want to do that. And it means that we have results like this. At the end of the day, it's a shame what happened for the 41 car. It is, because they should have still gotten a class podium, arguably. But I would argue that that's a case to go, well, should we really still have this rule? Because at the end of the day, if somebody parks up for several hours, for an hour or so, and cross the line, they're still classified. I mean, the 64 was the last car to cross the line. It crossed the line 58 laps down. In comparison, the top GTE finished 26 laps down. So they lost 30 laps to the leader. And 30 laps to the leader around somewhere like Le Mans, it's about 2 hours. So they weren't running for the full 24. They'd probably run for about 22, maybe nearer down to 20. But they're still classified. But because they weren't there when the checker flag fell, Despite the fact that red flags don't count towards the overall timing, and yellow flags don't count, or they do count towards the overall timing, shall I say. I don't know. I say just do the same rule across all races in the championship. And since Le Mans the one exception to the rule, it should fall in line. But let me know your thoughts, because I understand that people have different kinds of opinions on it, but that's just where I am with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you around. Bye-bye. For now.